Rudolph Valentino, the ultimate silent film heartthrob, met an untimely death at just 31, leaving millions of fans in mourning. But one eerie detail about his burial still haunts Hollywood: the cursed ring that accompanied him to the grave. Valentino had purchased an antique ring, rumored to bring misfortune to whoever wore it. The moment he slipped it on, his luck took a dark turn. His next film flopped, and soon after, he fell gravely ill with peritonitis. Despite medical efforts, he succumbed to the infection, and the ring, now infamous, was buried with him. Many believe the curse didn't end there. In the years that followed, several individuals associated with the ring faced bizarre tragedies. Valentino's close friend, who inherited a similar ring, also met an early demise, fueling rumors that supernatural forces were at play. To this day, visitors at Valentino's crypt at Hollywood Forever Cemetery report eerie occurrences, from cold spots to whispers in the wind. Did the ring truly seal his fate? Or was it just an unfortunate coincidence? Either way, Rudolph Valentino's final resting place holds a chilling mystery, buried 6 feet under with Hollywood's most enigmatic star. Bela Lugosi, the legendary actor who brought Count Dracula to life on the silver screen, was so deeply connected to the role that even in death, he remained the eternal vampire. When Lugosi passed away in 1956, his family made an unusual decision. They buried him wearing his iconic Dracula cape. It wasn't something he had explicitly requested, but his son and ex-wife believed it was the perfect way to honor his legacy. Lugosi had struggled with typecasting throughout his career. Despite starring in numerous horror films, he could never escape Dracula's shadow. In his final years, he battled financial troubles and addiction, making his Hollywood downfall almost as tragic as the characters he portrayed. But in death, he became immortalized as the Vampire King, forever resting in the dark embrace of his famous cape. Fans still visit his grave at Holy Cross Cemetery, whispering lines from his most famous role. Some even claim to have seen a shadowy figure lurking nearby at night. Could it be Lugosi himself, still roaming the world as the creature of the night? Whether truth or myth, one thing is certain: Bela Lugosi remains Dracula, even in the afterlife. Clark Gable, the King of Hollywood, was the ultimate symbol of rugged masculinity. But behind his dashing charm and on-screen confidence, he was a man who endured immense personal tragedies. When he passed away in 1960 following a heart attack, an unusual item was placed inside his coffin: a cigarette lighter, a small but powerful symbol of his persona. Gable was a notorious smoker, often seen with a cigarette in hand, whether on set or off. He had developed the habit during his early days in Hollywood, and despite knowing the risks, he never gave it up. Many believe that decades of smoking contributed to the heart issues that led to his death. Yet, it wasn't just a habit, it was part of his identity. His lighter was like an extension of himself, something he carried everywhere, from the sets of Gone with the Wind to his final days. Buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park beside his beloved wife, Carole Lombard, Gable rests with a symbol of the golden era's untamed spirit. To this day, fans leave cigarettes on his grave, as if paying tribute to the Hollywood king, who never let go of his signature style, even in death. Marilyn Monroe, the ultimate Hollywood icon, was more than just beauty and glamour. She was a tragic figure whose life was filled with loneliness and unanswered questions. When she was found dead in 1962 under suspicious circumstances, the world mourned the loss of a legend. But what was placed inside her crypt at Westwood Village Memorial Park remains a haunting mystery. Among the personal items buried with her were a handwritten note and a bottle of her favorite perfume, Chanel No. 5. The note, rumored to have been from Joe DiMaggio, her ex-husband, was never publicly revealed, but some believe it contained heartfelt words of love and regret. DiMaggio, who arranged her funeral, was devastated by her death and famously had roses delivered to her grave every week for 20 years. As for the perfume, it was Marilyn's signature scent. She once confessed that she wore nothing to bed except a few drops of Chanel No. 5. Even in death, Marilyn remains a mystery. Fans still visit her crypt, leaving flowers, lipstick kisses, and whispers of "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" in the air. Was she truly at peace, or does Hollywood's most tragic star still haunt the dreams of those who adored her? James Dean, the ultimate rebel of Hollywood, lived fast and died young, forever cementing his legend. When he tragically crashed his Porsche Little Bastard in 1955 at just 24 years old, the world was stunned. His untimely death became even more chilling when rumors of a curse surrounding his car began to spread. And inside his coffin at Park Cemetery in Fairmount, Indiana, an unusual item was said to have been placed: a small key from his beloved Porsche. Dean had an eerie fascination with speed and danger. Just weeks before his death, actor Alec Guinness warned him not to drive the Porsche, saying he wouldn't live past a week if he did. Dean laughed it off, but the prophecy came true. The crash that took his life was only the beginning. Little Bastard was salvaged, and every piece of it brought tragedy to its next owner, fueling the legend of the cursed car. His burial was simple, but the key, whether placed there for sentimental reasons or as a chilling reminder of his fate, remains an unsettling detail. Even in death, James Dean's spirit is forever tied to the road, a rebel who never truly hit the brakes. Humphrey Bogart, the tough-as-nails Hollywood legend, was known for his rugged charm and iconic roles in films like Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon. But behind his tough guy persona was a deeply romantic soul, especially when it came to his beloved wife, Lauren Bacall. When Bogart passed away in 1957 after a long battle with esophageal cancer, Bacall made sure he wasn't buried alone. She slipped a small silver whistle into his coffin, a token of their undying love. The whistle wasn't just any trinket, it was a reference to their very first film together, To Have and Have Not, 1944. In the movie, Bacall famously tells Bogart, "You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow." It became their private symbol, a reminder of the love that started on-screen and continued off-screen. Even after his death, Bacall kept the romance alive, never truly moving on from the man she called Bogey. Buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, Bogart's legend lives on, not just in his films, but in the soft whisper of a whistle, echoing through time, a love story that never really ended. Frank Sinatra, the chairman of the board, lived life his way, full of charm, style, and a little mischief. When he passed away in 1998 at the age of 82, his family ensured he went out just as he had lived, with his favorite vices and a mysterious roll of dimes in his coffin at Desert Memorial Park, California. The pack of cigarettes and bottle of Jack Daniel's whiskey were no surprise. Sinatra was rarely seen without a drink in hand, and his love for smooth liquor was legendary. But the roll of dimes? That's where the mystery deepens. Some believe it was a tribute to his longtime habit of keeping dimes on him for payphones, a superstition he developed after his son, Frank Sinatra Jr., was kidnapped in 1963. During the ransom negotiations, Sinatra had to make multiple payphone calls and swore he'd never be caught without dimes again. His final words, fittingly, were, "I'm losing it." But even in death, Sinatra's presence lingers. Fans still visit his grave, leaving dimes, cigarettes, and whiskey, as if to toast to a man who truly did it his way. Walt Disney, the visionary behind Mickey Mouse, Disneyland, and an entire empire of magic, left the world in 1966. But rumors about his burial have kept his legend alive in the strangest way. Unlike many Hollywood icons, no unusual item was buried inside his coffin, because according to urban legend, Walt Disney wasn't buried at all. Instead, some believe his body was cryogenically frozen in hopes of being revived in the future. The story claims that Disney, fascinated by futuristic technology, arranged for his body, or at least his head, to be preserved in a secret underground chamber beneath Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean ride. While the theory has been debunked, his official resting place is Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. The mystery refuses to die. Adding to the intrigue, his family has remained tight-lipped about the specifics of his funeral, fueling speculation. What we do know is that Disney's impact on the world was far greater than any conspiracy. Whether frozen in time or resting peacefully, his legacy lives on in the dreams of millions. And maybe, just maybe, the magic isn't over yet. Would Walt want to return? Some fans certainly believe so. Jean Harlow, the original blonde bombshell, was Hollywood's first true sex symbol, capturing hearts with her platinum locks and smoldering screen presence. But behind the glamour was a life filled with tragedy. When she died suddenly in 1937, at just 26 years old, fans were devastated. Even in death, there was something unusual about her burial. She wasn't dressed in a glamorous gown befitting a starlet, but instead was laid to rest in a simple pink negligee, chosen by her mother. Harlow's death, officially attributed to kidney failure, was surrounded by mystery. Some believe it was the result of childhood illnesses, while others speculate neglect or mistreatment. Her mother, a strict follower of Christian Science, allegedly refused to seek medical treatment until it was too late. When it came time for her burial at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, her mother made the odd decision to dress her in the pink satin pajamas she often wore at home, possibly wanting to preserve the innocence of her baby, as she called her. Adding to the eerie nature of her passing, Harlow was placed in a solid white marble crypt, purchased by William Powell, the man she was rumored to be engaged to before her untimely death. A tragic beauty, buried too soon, forever resting in the soft embrace of satin instead of the spotlight. Theda Bara, Hollywood's original femme fatale, was the silent era's most mysterious and seductive star. Known as the first vamp, she built her career on dark, exotic, and supernatural roles, often draped in elaborate, bejeweled costumes that made her look like a true enchantress. But when she passed away in 1955, fans were surprised that none of these legendary costumes were buried with her. Instead, she was laid to rest in a simple, unremarkable burial at Forest Lawn Memorial Park. Unlike her on-screen persona, Theda Bara in real life was a private woman, far from the eerie, mystical image Hollywood had crafted for her. Most of her extravagant film wardrobe had already been lost in a fire at Fox Studios years before, adding to the tragedy of her forgotten legacy. With little left of her cinematic empire, there were no cursed jewels, no dramatic robes, no haunting artifacts to accompany her to the grave. Just silence. Though her films are mostly lost to time, Bara's legend remains. She may not have been buried like a vampiress, but in the history of Hollywood, she'll forever be remembered as the woman who brought darkness and seduction to the silver screen. Greta Garbo, the mysterious queen of Hollywood, was known for her striking beauty, unforgettable performances, and above all, her deep desire for privacy. Unlike many Golden Age stars, Garbo lived life on her own terms, avoiding the spotlight whenever possible. When she passed away in 1990, her burial was just as enigmatic as she was. No lavish Hollywood send-off, no extravagant tributes, just a quiet, solitary resting place in Stockholm, Sweden, far from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. Though no unusual objects were reported inside her casket, the greatest mystery surrounding Garbo was her personal collection of letters and journals, which remained sealed for decades. Some believe that among her final belongings was a bundle of private love letters, possibly from the many admirers and lovers she had over the years, including her rumored romance with actress Mercedes de Acosta. But true to her nature, Garbo took most of her secrets to the grave. Her tombstone, simple yet elegant, marks the resting place of a woman who once commanded the silver screen, but always longed for solitude. In life, she famously said, "I want to be alone." In death, it seems she got her wish. Louis Armstrong, the legendary jazz pioneer, brought the world unforgettable music with his gravelly voice and masterful trumpet playing. When he passed away in 1971, his funeral was filled with the sounds of jazz, just as he would have wanted. But inside his coffin at Flushing Cemetery in Queens, New York, a few special items were placed to honor his incredible legacy: his signature white handkerchief and, as some claim, a small trumpet. Armstrong was rarely seen without his crisp white handkerchief, which he used to wipe sweat from his face during his energetic performances. It became a part of his image, just like his beaming smile and larger-than-life personality. Some reports suggest that a small trumpet, his lifelong companion, was placed alongside him as well, a fitting tribute to the instrument that made him a legend. Even in death, Armstrong's presence remains. Fans still visit his grave, leaving trumpets, sheet music, and jazz memorabilia, as if hoping his spirit will play one last tune. Whether or not his beloved trumpet was buried with him, one thing is certain: his music will never be silenced. Joan Crawford, the iron-willed queen of old Hollywood, was known for her fierce ambition, glamorous image, and controversial reputation. When she passed away in 1977, her burial at Ferncliff Cemetery in New York reflected her public persona, elegant and refined. Inside her coffin, she was laid to rest with a crucifix, a stark contrast to the dark rumors that would later surround her. Despite her Hollywood success, Crawford's life was filled with turmoil. Her adopted daughter, Christina Crawford, later exposed shocking allegations of abuse in the book Mommy Dearest, painting Joan as a cruel and controlling mother. The crucifix in her casket may have been placed as a symbol of faith, redemption, or perhaps an attempt to ward off the demons of her past. Adding to the mystery, some believe Crawford's spirit still lingers. Stories of paranormal activity have been reported at her former home, with whispers of an unsettled soul refusing to rest. Whether remembered as a Hollywood icon or a chilling figure of controversy, Joan Crawford's legacy remains as haunting as the characters she once played. Gary Cooper, the embodiment of the strong, silent Hollywood hero, was known for his effortless charm and unforgettable performances in classics like High Noon and Sergeant York. But despite his larger-than-life screen presence, his burial was surprisingly modest. When he passed away in 1961 after a battle with cancer, Cooper was laid to rest at Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary Cemetery in Southampton, New York, with only a rosary placed in his hands. A devout Catholic in his later years, Cooper found solace in his faith as he faced his final days. The rosary symbolized his quiet spirituality and deep belief in redemption. Unlike some of his fellow Golden Age stars, there were no extravagant tributes or strange burial objects, just a peaceful farewell, in line with the humility he often displayed off-screen. Even in death, Cooper remained the same dignified, understated man he had always been. His legacy lives on, not in superstition or scandal, but in the timeless stories he told, proof that true Hollywood legends don't need anything extra to be remembered. Babe Ruth, the Sultan of Swat, was more than just a baseball player. He was a legend, an icon, and a larger-than-life figure who changed the game forever. When he passed away in 1948 after battling cancer, his funeral was a national event, with thousands lining up to pay their respects. And when he was laid to rest at Gate of Heaven Cemetery in New York, he wasn't buried alone. Inside his coffin, Ruth was said to have been given a baseball bat, a scorebook, and one of his signature cigars, a final tribute to the things he loved most. Ruth's love for cigars was well known. He was often photographed with one in hand, exuding confidence and charisma. The baseball bat, of course, symbolized his unmatched power at the plate, a reminder of the 714 home runs he smashed throughout his career. The scorebook, a nod to the game he devoted his life to, ensured that even in death he remained connected to baseball. Even today, fans visit his grave, leaving behind baseballs, bats, and cigars in his honor. Whether on the field or in memory, Babe Ruth will always be swinging for the fences.